time to talk about something that I've had on my mind for quite a while now. The idea that Neo will speak in the RWBY series. This is a topic that I know a lot of people are very polarized on, one way or the other, but I'm going to ask that you watch through at least most of this video so that you can hear my ideas before you go down to the comments and start commenting one way or another, because I honestly think that it is pretty inevitable that Neo will speak within the RWBY series, and there are two main reasons for that, and then a third that I want to discuss for a majority of the video. Now, the first reason is, of course, that Neo already has an official voice actress. Casey Lee Williams, the primary vocalist for many of the songs that we have heard throughout the RWBY series. Her favorite character is Neo, and frankly, I think there's no one more deserving to voice Neo than Casey. And honestly, it'd be a nice little scene to actually see Neo sing within the RWBY series. Perhaps that might tie into her backstory in some way, shape, or form, or something along those lines. But with Neo having an official voice actress, even though it was for the fighting efforts in her participation in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, I think it's a pretty good indication that Neo will have at least some speaking lines in the RWBY series itself. And the other prominent reason that I think Neo will speak in the RWBY series is thanks to the existence of one other character. And if Neo makes it to Vacuo, I think it is inevitable that her voice will be heard. And that other character that exists is Fox Alistair, because he has the semblance of telepathy. Neo may not be able to speak physically, but she certainly thinks, she certainly expresses herself quite well throughout her body language, so there's definitely thoughts behind them, and Fox would let those thoughts be heard to everyone. And thank you to Pink Rose on Discord for pointing out this connection between Neo and Fox. It's something I did not notice on my own, but I think if Neo makes it to Vacuo, which I think is pretty inevitable that Neo is going to make it there, and she encounters Fox, we are going to hear her voice in the RWBY series. And quite frankly, I think that is a good middle ground for everyone on both sides of the argument. Whether you want Neo to speak or whether you don't, well, in this scenario, Neo will still be the same expressive person that everyone is used to seeing, but now she'll be voicing over, or voicing her own thoughts over those expressions, which I think would be absolutely beautiful. I think Fox would also feel a bit of kinship with Neo, with him not being able to see and Neo not being able to speak. If he can help her even just briefly overcome that for a moment, I think he would gladly do that, whether Neo is enemy or friend. And I think that when it comes to Volume 9, Neo might be having a, well, change of heart. She's certainly not going to be on Cinder's side anymore, considering Cinder literally tried to kill her, and in Cinder's mind did succeed by dropping her into that void, but I think Neo's going to have a change of heart throughout Volume 9, possibly switch teams entirely, or just get over the grudge that she had against RWBY, move on to her own faction, but still encounter others in Vacuo, and hopefully Fox. And on that note, speaking of Cinder, if Neo ever encounters Cinder again, which is probably going to happen at some point in the future of the RWBY series, if Fox is able to allow her to speak her mind to Cinder, oh boy, she's going to have a few things to say. More so that would be able to be properly expressed through body language, and the proper emotions wouldn't necessarily be able to be conveyed through text. Having Neo being able to actually speak that to Cinder would be a fantastic scene in the RWBY series. But now, notice up until this point in the video, I haven't said anything about Neo's mutism, whether she will remain mute for the rest of the RWBY series, or whether she will be able to speak on her own. Because this is the main topic that I think a lot of people are conflicted on, that people like the way that Neo is, how expressive she is, the body language that she has, and the way that she is communicating, that it is good representation in the RWBY series, etc. And frankly, I'm kind of in that camp. I do like Neo the way she is, and if she does start speaking in the RWBY series, that might take away from a bit of her character. Other people would also argue that if Neo is just able to overcome her mutism, and that's a way that her character moves forward in the RWBY series, well, that kind of seems a bit ableist. And frankly, I would have to agree, depending on how Neo is able to move forward. It depends on what actually is causing her mutism. Whether it is something genetic, something that, she was born with, maybe an injury that she suffered to her vocal cords early in life, or something along those lines. Something that really just could not be overcome, except maybe with Atlas technology, though I don't think that's the route that anyone would go. Or perhaps it could be some sort of mental trauma, something that she needs to get over mentally, some conflict in her past that she needs to be able to work out or move past, and perhaps by doing so, she would then be able to speak her first words in the RWBY series. And let's be clear here, Neo does have some trauma in her past, and quite frankly, throughout the RWBY series, Neo has actually been a pretty stagnant character overall. She's been focused on one thing her entire time in the RWBY series. All 7 volumes, from Volume 2 until the end of Volume 8, there's only been one thing on her mind, and that has been Roman Torchwick. In Volumes 2 to 3, she has been supporting Roman, being a loyal ally of his, and once Roman was taken out, once she thought that she had lost him, she turned her focus to getting revenge for him. That is all that she's ever been about, and she's allowed herself to be used by Cinder to fight against Ruby and everyone else, even though this is not a position that she wants to be in. She is only focused on Roman. I doubt she has any idea what she would do after she got revenge for him. If she was able to take out Ruby, she might just turn on Cinder yet again, or just try to take revenge on whoever else she might feel responsible. But after doing so, what's next? I don't think Neo really has a plan beyond that point, and I think Volume 9 is really going to give us that viewpoint into Neo herself, what she needs to overcome, and in particular, Roman Holiday. The new book that has been announced by E.C. Myers definitely will give us some insight into Neo's backstory. There has already been a preview released, I'll leave a link in the description below to that, and Chapter 1 definitely displays that Neo has had some trauma in her past. She has been unable to speak since she was a child, something that her parents are very frustrated with and are definitely not very, shall we say, tolerant of. Not to mention Neo as a child was kind of acting out, and, I'll let you read it for yourself, and I do plan to do a breakdown of this preview in a separate video, but Neo has a lot of mental issues that she will need to overcome, things that she has to deal with. I'm sure Roman helped her along the way, being someone that's actually accepted Neo for who she is and supported her in the things that she has wanted to do, but also kind of turned her to the, wrong side of the law, shall we say? And through all that, Neo has become very reliant on Roman. Hasn't really had anyone else to support her other than him, or he was the only one who would support her throughout her life. And I think in Volume 9, she's going to meet someone else that will support her still. Perhaps it will be Jean. Perhaps it will be a member of Team RWBY. I do think that Neo and Ruby are going to have their heart-to-heart, and Neo's going to have to overcome that. Realize that Ruby is not responsible, that Roman's actions kind of led to his own demise. Even though Roman might not actually be dead, what he was doing was certainly wrong, and Neo will likely come to see that. But overall, Neo's mutism is not something that she needs to overcome to progress her character, not in the slightest. The mental trauma that she has from her childhood, which perhaps could be the reason that she cannot speak, is something that she needs to overcome. And once she does overcome it, maybe she will be able to start speaking in the RWBY series. Personally, I kind of hope she doesn't. I really like Neo the way she is, how expressive she is, and she's, well, a very unique character on her own. If she does speak in that way, I will completely understand it, and I will still love Neo, perhaps even more so, after she has gone through that character growth, but at the end of the day, I do think she will speak through Fox's telepathy. I think that Casey Lee Williams being the voice actress for Neo is a very good indication that she will have some speaking lines in the series, because Casey really deserves it for all of the effort that she's been putting into the series itself, with Neo being her favorite character. I feel like that would just be very, very fitting. And Fox could easily enable that. And I would love to see a scene where Neo speaks for the first time. Everyone's, meeting up in Vacuo. Perhaps there's a battle going on. Team Coffee is there. And then all of a sudden, you just, Fox has his telepathy open to everyone, all of their allies. They hear Team RWBY and Jean just appear out of nowhere or wherever they're going to come from. And then all of a sudden they hear, humming or singing on the battlefield through this TeamSpeak, and all of them have no idea where it's coming from, but Neo, whenever she's fighting and dancing around, sings to herself in her head or hums, and she just thinks that no one can hear her thoughts, because, normally no one can. But thanks to Fox's TeamSpeak, everyone can now hear it. There's a pause on the battlefield, everyone just looks at Neo all confused, and then she all of a sudden becomes shy because her voice can be heard by everyone. I think that would just be an amazing scene. Neo would still be the same Neo that all of us love, having gone through the character progression, possibly getting over the trauma of her past, etc., and we would still hear her speak and possibly sing in the RWBY series. That is my take on it, at least, and I would love to know yours down in the comments below. Do you think that Neo should speak in the RWBY series? Or are you in the camp that Neo should not speak at all? whether that's just because of her mutism and you don't think that it's something that she needs to overcome, or would you be alright with the fact of Fox's telepathy allowing Neo to speak in the RWBY series, as I think that is very likely, assuming of course that Neo makes it to Vacuo, which I think is a guarantee. I don't think that Neo is going to be killed off or taken out of the series in Volume 9, but there is also the possibility that if she gets over the trauma of losing Roman Torchwick, then she might move on to something else. Though if she makes a new connection to either Jean or a member of Team RWBY, she will likely want to stick with them, and I'm hoping that Neo does kind of make a switch to the good guy's side, fights alongside everyone against Salem. She would have some inside information, etc. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I really look forward to hearing what you guys think. If you guys did enjoy this video, want to see more RWBY theories, more content to come on this channel, make sure to subscribe and join the Guild of the Eternal Flame. Tweet me at Phoenix Knight 7, and I will see you guys in the next video.